Sup peeps, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex, if you're new here. So I lied, like straight up. Not intentionally, but like it happened. And now I need to, what do I need to do? Make amends? Basically, my contour routine. I uploaded a video, listen, the day that I don't change my contour routine every 3 or 4 weeks, then I'm just gonna quit YouTube. Okay? I uploaded a video about how my contour routine changed my life, and it was the skull contour. I'm only gonna take this back a little bit because there are some things that I still apply, but I did change my techniques a little bit, so I'm gonna show them to you today. So I have the rest of my base on, and I did do my nose and lip contour, which is like typically what I do. And you just don't need to see it because it's in everything, so. So we're gonna go from the top down, which is actually the opposite of what I usually do. So maybe we should go from the bottom up. Let's go from the bottom up. So I'm gonna use my Fenty matchstick in amber like I always do. So the first thing that I like to do typically is my jawline. The amount that I do it varies, okay? What I like to do is just like throw up a quick double chin. And the first thing I like to do is go below my jawline. So when I'm like this, you can see this is my jawline. You'll see a lot of people put it right here. I don't do that. You gotta make the double chin because this is the shit that you wanna put back in space. You know what I mean? If this is lighter than this area, then this area goes back in space and this looks like it's coming more towards the front. So when you're talking and moving around, it just makes this whole area look like one and you're gonna look like you have no jawline. I already don't have like a super defined jawline. I'm not trying to intensify that. So I take it just below. This is stuff that most of you, if you have been watching my videos, already know, but sometimes you gotta refresh the memory, you know? So I'll go just below, like that. Now, what the skull contour did for me, I thought, it's basically like where you kind of like scoop here, scoop the cheekbone, and then you draw, I don't wanna make that mistake again. You draw a line straight down. Some people take it in like pretty far. Some people keep it out a little bit further. I was kind of trying to like line it up with this little area right here, which I don't love. And I thought that the skull contour was going to like, it's just gonna fix that. It was just gonna fix that. It was just gonna like solve all my problems. And I think I kind of like convinced myself that it did, but it kind of ended up aging me, I think. Wait, this isn't even. Instead, what I used to do, I kind of brought it back. What I do is I kind of like will continue to make like a little bit of a double chin. So we've pushed this area back in space. But what I like to do is just kind of like carve this out a little bit because my face looks a little bit more round. Yeah, like a little bit more round. And I just like to kind of carve out my angles a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna bring that contour up a little bit in here. Not too much. Sometimes I used to do it a little too much. Just a little bit, because we are gonna blend. But basically what I'm doing is this area goes out like that kind of. So I'm trying to do the opposite shape with my contour to balance that. So that's the first thing. I lied about that. Next, rather than scooping my cheekbone and bringing that line down to meet that, which is just kind of a lot, I think I got a little bit caught up in this fucking, what's it called? Bucket fat? Buckle fat? Trend thing that everybody was doing. I did a Morticia Addams Halloween tutorial where I basically did that to my face and it was just like, oh, this shape is so dope. But Halloween isn't real life all the time. It can be for some people. Another thing mistake that I was making was taking my contour down too low. You forget. Sometimes you just forget and you need a reminder. So rather than taking contour down here, which can really like drag the face down, it ends up making like this area look even flatter, believe it or not. It might sound strange. If you're trying to make your cheekbones look like higher and more full, or not necessarily more full, but just like more defined, then taking your contour up a little bit is the best way to do that. So what I've been doing now is right here, kind of where I start. So it's not quite the hollow is down here. It's just between like my cheekbone and the hollow of my cheekbone. I also am not taking it all the way back here. I'm kind of going at this angle. It's kind of like a upward angle. And then just that, that's it. That's all you need. You don't need to connect it down here because we are gonna blend. So like our brush is gonna do a lot of work for us. And then it's just like kind of difficult to do it exactly the same on both sides because cheekbones are different, faces are different. The other thing that I was doing, which I'm adjusting since I watched Alana Davidson, she did Nikki Makeup. I don't know if you know who all these people are. Nikki Makeup is a makeup artist who's incredible, beyond incredible, one of the greatest, I would say. Stunning, talented, all the things. Alana Davidson, same fucking thing, but she watched all of Nikki Makeup's like professional makeup course, whatever it was. I guess she put out like a masterclass essentially, and Alana watched all of her stuff, and then she uploaded a video basically talking through all the techniques. That long story to say, what I used to do is I would bring my contour from here, from my, what do you want to call this? What's this called? This like pad of whatever, I guess it's like my brow bone. From here up to kind of like create a lift to my eyes. When I was watching Alana's video, Nikki just puts a little thing right here. And I was like, that's all you need. Again, we're gonna be blending. So this is now my technique. I'm also doing that. That's how the placement has changed. Basically, I'm just constantly like going through different abstract shapes and deciding which ones I want to put on my face for this month, okay? This is it for this month, minus my cute little clown nose and my lip contour, little lip mustache. All right, so I'm gonna be using this brush from this brand called BK Beauty. I don't know, they reached out to me and sent me some brushes and I wanted to give them a shot. This seems nice, so it's the 108 brush. I will say the handle is very slippery. I keep dropping them constantly, it's very annoying. Anyway, so I'm gonna start off by blending down here. And I like to start off with this area so that it doesn't get too intense because I'm going in with a clean brush right now. And if this is too intense, it can kind of just look like a beard and you don't want that. So again, you wanna keep it like relatively in the place that you put it. And you'll notice that all of these things are kind of keeping in mind the skull contour. Like all of these placements are kind of creating the same illusion that the skull contour would, but it's a little bit more intentional and refined rather than just like this shape, you know? Oh, the ring on the brush, that's annoying. So I kind of like blend it into that shape. Like if we imagine the imaginary skull contour here, I'm kind of still following that idea when I blend. Now that I have that blended out, I'm just gonna go underneath the jawline. And like I was intentional with my placement, I wanna make sure that I'm kind of blending downward so that I'm not making my jawline look tiny because that's not what I want. I wanna push this area back. Sometimes I like to bring it up here to kind of like make this area appear a little more sharp. And then you always gotta double chin it up a little extra to make sure that you're well blended. Never forget to go back in with like your sponge or your brush that you went in with your foundation or your concealer or even just a clean brush to do blending. And then as far as like the contour underneath the neck, I'll just kind of take it down the lines of my neck, natural lines, so that it's not just like brown and then like my neck color, because that can be kind of unflattering. All right, next I'm gonna do my temples. So I'm going to just pat rather than swiping because I already have my brows on, so I can't be as crazy with it. And this is really just to kind of like create a little bit of that indent, which just sort of like defines the face a little bit more. And then whatever's left over, so like mostly I'm focusing it right here, and then whatever's left over, I'm just gonna kind of like blend it toward the outer corner of the eye. See how that just kind of like defines that area a little bit more? It creates the illusion of that lift without being like too intense or using as much product as I was using before. Now for my cheekbones, I like to start off, sometimes I will have applied more on one side than the other, which actually kind of looks like this side today. I always start off with that side just so that it feels more balanced. Because like you're picking it up on your brush, so then you're going into the other side with like more product than you did with this side. And I'm obsessed with balance. So I'm gonna start off with patting motions because again, I want to be intentional. Kind of blending that up, bringing it back. You want to make sure that you're following your actual features. So I'm going to turn my face, kind of blend it down just a little bit. But really all I'm doing is blending this shape out. So I want to make sure that I'm not like completely changing the shape, which is why I'm starting off with the patting motions. And then you can see I'm like pulling my brush back a little bit and using more like general patting, kind of buffing, so that I'm blending those edges out without moving that product around too much. And then going back in with my sponge to blend around those edges. And this just makes the cheekbone look like nice and defined and lifted and also poppin', without making the center of my face, like in here, look too hollow. It still looks like nice and defined, but not like old and dragged down. Because the other thing was just kind of like making my face look dragged down. The more I do this, the more I feel like I should just be putting product like right here, and that's it. Like the further it comes down, the more it just makes my face look a little older and kind of dragged down. You always want to keep in mind that like taking it down, blending it down is just kind of like bring everything down, whereas blending it up creates that like nice definition here and then kind of like that nice 3D, what do I want to call that? Rendering of your cheekbone. Like if you look at the difference between like a circle and a sphere. You know what I mean? This cheek just always looks better though because it's my better cheek. So annoying. And then if you want to intensify, you can go in and set that with a powder. You can kind of take like a little bit of a translucent powder or even a slightly lighter powder and just kind of like hit right underneath that contour, which is just going to help like create all of those like nice definitions. But this placement, personally, especially for my face, is just so much more flattering, I guess. Basically, I had to do the skull contour long enough to recognize that it wasn't necessarily the best fit for my face. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I have kind of reverted back to my old contour habits with some tiny little changes here and there. Essentially, my like goal is pretty much always the same. It's just like the actual technique that I end up using gets refined a little bit here and there. I have a ton of contour content on my channel. I'm pretty sure you can search on like someone's channel. You just go to my channel and you can type in like contour and all the contour videos will come up. Right now I'm working on like making my playlists a little more streamlined, but for whatever reason, YouTube just doesn't make it easy for me. But anyway, if you have questions about like the difference between bronzer and contour, I have videos on that, so you can check those out. And you can also just kind of see like what the evolution of my contour has been, because it's been wild. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or any specific, like, I don't know, features maybe that you want me to like pinpoint, and I can film something, hopefully. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.